There are moments in sports when waiting for the magical fit to happen on its own is no longer an option. When time gets tight, when cap space shrinks, when the championship window starts closing even with your team still looking competitive on paper, only one choice remains. Act. And act with a cold precision that only those who live under constant pressure understand. That's exactly where the Toronto Maple Leafs find themselves. In the middle of an off-season marked by partial reconstruction, surgical cuts, and targeted reinforcements, the franchise now faces a dilemma that seems simple but carries an entire universe of consequences. To bring in Mats Zuccarello to complete the offensive top six and, in doing so, sacrifice one of their last young hopes, Nick Robertson, along with a valuable 2027 second-round draft pick. No, this isn't just another wild trade idea to feed the algorithm. It's a real proposal, suggested by respected analysts, circulating among trusted sources, and more importantly, making sense within the logic of both teams involved. On one side, the Maple Leafs are hungry for a title, with a consolidated core and the pressure of an entire city demanding more than just respectable playoff runs. On the other, the Minnesota Wild are facing a transitional moment between veterans like Zuccarello and the growth of young players like Marco Rossi, Boldy, and Kuznetsov. Mats Zuccarello's time in Minnesota seems to be nearing its end, and Nick Robertson's arrival could represent more than just an addition to the roster. It could be the symbol of a new chapter. For Toronto, the trade might mean the opposite. Despite still playing at a high level, one last mature, represents a short-term bet, with eyes locked on the postseason and no room for regret. Now think with me. When was the last time the Leafs truly filled the gap left by Mitch Marner on the right wing of the top six? When was the last time this team had real balance in its top two lines, especially when it comes to experience, tactical IQ, and offensive output? With Bertuzzi gone, with the bet on Matthew Knies still inconsistent, and with Craig Berube's offensive system just beginning to take shape, there's room and urgency for a player like Zuccarello. The Norwegian is anything but ordinary. He doesn't have Johnny Gaudreau's marketing appeal. He doesn't have Tage Thompson's dominant frame. But when it comes to game reading, passing accuracy, and offensive vision, he's still among the most underrated in the league. Last season, even at age 36, he put up 54 points in 69 games. Solid, steady production that, in a talent-rich team like Toronto, could grow even further. But of course, there's a cost. And that cost is Nick Robertson. The 23-year-old winger, once seen as one of the franchise's future offensive pillars, now finds himself in an unstable relationship with the team. After years of fluctuating between hope and frustration, injuries and technical decisions, he enters the final year of his contract trying to prove he deserves more. He's had his moments. 15 goals, 22 points, but was once again left out in the playoffs, playing only 3 games. And most importantly, he asked to leave. That's right. Last offseason, Robertson made it clear he wanted a trade. Toronto held off. They believed he could still contribute. And to a point he did. But now, with 14 forwards under contract and Easton Cowan emerging as the new gem of the system, the real space for Robertson looks increasingly scarce. Minnesota, on the other hand, can offer exactly what he's looking for: minutes, a line, a coach willing to trust, and above all, a lighter environment for a fresh start. Let's not forget, Robertson is the younger brother of Jason Robertson, the star standout. He's always lived under comparison, always carried the weight of being a maybe, but he has talent. The question is whether he'll find a place where that talent can finally flourish. Back to Zuccarello. His contract is heavy, $8.25 million against the cap, but he's entering the final year of it, meaning Toronto wouldn't be locked in long term. It would be an immediate impact move, crafted specifically for a team that still believes it can win the Stanley Cup with the core it has today. And let's be honest, If there's one player with the right profile to calm down the Leafs' offensive lines in moments of desperation, it's him. The Norwegian is calm, skilled, experienced. He knows how to slow down the game, control the tempo, and find gaps others don't see. In Minnesota, he mentored young players, played alongside Kirill Kaprizov, and was a locker room pillar during transition. In Toronto, he could reprise that role, only now, with the mission of delivering results immediately. And make no mistake, he wouldn't be just a symbolic addition. On the ice, Zuccarello could form a creative second line next to Roy and Maxelli, or even be slotted in with Nylander and Matthews depending on Berube's offensive setup. He's versatile, plays both wings, and has a track record of chemistry with skilled line mates. His tactical impact would be massive, especially in the neutral zone and on the power play. Two areas the Leafs have been trying to stabilize since the collapse against Boston. Of course, a move like this carries risks. What if he gets injured? What if his production drops? What if the cap tightens the team's hands at the trade deadline? All fair questions. But this is where context matters. GM Brad trailing himself was clear. The team's priority is to fill the top-6 void left by Marner. Depth has been added. The middle of the ice has been reinforced. But that one piece to tie it all together is still missing. And Zuccarello, given his skill set, tactical fit, and relatively low acquisition cost, as a rental, could be that missing piece. Which brings us to the real question. Is it worth sacrificing Nick Robertson and a second-round pick for 1 year of Zuccarello? The answer depends on what you believe the Leafs can and should be right now. If the priority is the future, maybe not. But if the mission is to win now, then it makes perfect sense. Now imagine the scenario. Playoffs, Game 5, on the road, Leafs down by a goal. The team is nervous, making mistakes, pressure mounting on the ice. And then Zuccarello. Calm, composed, that vertical pass that splits the defense, that off-puck movement that breaks the structure. These are the kinds of details that can decide a series. And that's why teams in their window make bets. Because playoff hockey is detail. It's experience. It's knowing what to do when everything starts falling apart. And let's not forget, Robertson already asked for a trade. That's no secret. Keeping a frustrated player who wants out of fear he might turn into the next Alex DeBrincat isn't healthy. Toronto needs to decide whether it believes in its own window. Because if it does, it needs to act like it. And Zuccarello might not be the flashiest name on the market, but maybe he's the most effective one for what this team needs right now. At the end of the day, that's what makes this trade so intriguing. It's not just about talent, stats, or age. It's about timing, about understanding where each player, each team, each core stands. Toronto wants to win. Zuccarello wants one more shot. Minnesota wants to start over. And Robertson wants to play. It's hard to find a scenario where everyone walks away happy. But maybe, just maybe, this is one of them. So, Leafs fans, would you pull the trigger? Would you give up a young prospect and a draft pick for 1 year Zuccarello? Or do you double down on Robertson, knowing he doesn't want to stay and that his ceiling remains uncertain? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this debate is far from over, and the trade deadline is right around the corner. If you made it this far, you already know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and get ready, because the Toronto trade saga is far from over. And who knows, in the next video, we might already be analyzing Zuccarello wearing number 36 in blue and white. See you on the ice. And until next time, Leafs Nation.